Okay, mystery guest, reveal yourself.
Hello, everybody. This is Ryan Leaf.
Hey,
Got
yay,
it.
point,
Got it.
yay.
There you go. Finally got one.
Finally got one.
Finally got one.
What's up, Leaf Man? What's up? Yeah, I gave you a nickname.
Nothing, man. Just dealing with this 102-degree weather out here in L.A. right now.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I heard it was 106 yesterday.
I'm sure the air is clear, though. You don't have to worry about
Well,
that.
nobody's driving. I'm sure it's clear.
Yeah. So thank you very much for being our mystery guest here today, Ryan. And people do know all about your life. So the first question I would have to you is, how are you doing today? And what are you doing?
Well, we're not doing much. I've become a stay-at-home preschool teacher. I didn't know I was that was going to be on the resume, but we've been pretty much quarantined since March 11th. I covered Oklahoma's Pro Day and Jalen Hurts for ESPN, and then I got on a plane that night. And when we got home, everything kind of started to get shut down. So my wife and my son and I, we've pretty much been locked up, trying to take care of ourselves and take care of our family members. We're finally we went and got tested. We got this last weekend and had my parents go get tested and her parents go get tested, and we're all going to meet up here this weekend in Park City for like a week and a half and celebrate our son's third birthday, so his grandparents can see him, and we're doing the best we can. I mean, this is hard for everybody. I've enjoyed having the NFL back. I wasn't necessarily always so into the NFL, but my wife and I started doing some fun things. We developed a YouTube show called Anna's Picks, where I always thought it was funny when I would talk football with Anna, because I'm an analyst, and she just would have her own quirky way of seeing the game, and it's been kind of fun to see her pick games the first 3 weeks, and so yeah, we're staying active, but we're about staying safe and keeping everybody who may be more at risk than us safe as well.
Yeah, and Ryan, listen, I think your story is amazing with your struggles, addiction, and getting on the other side of it, especially for probably our listeners to hear. But I wanted to take you back on a story. I think it was a boxing match out in Vegas, MGM. You made the comment saying, what happened next changed your life forever. So what was that night, and what happened?
I don't know if it necessarily changed my life forever. It kind of just continued down a path that I was heading, and that was, one of addiction, because I never had abused alcohol or drugs. And that night, I had quit football. I told people I retired, but I had quit instead of walking into Coach Holmgren's office and telling him that I was severely depressed, that I had trouble getting out of bed, that I felt lazy and I was sad all the time. Instead, I just walked into his office and told him I quit, I retire. And I wasn't ready to be that vulnerable, I guess, and transparent to a man that who probably would have heard me and said, okay, Ryan, let's get the help that you need. So about 3 months later, after I thought I could just walk away from this life of football and not have any consequences to how poorly I played, how poorly I behaved. The biggest bust concept comes around every April when draft time happens. So when somebody's ego is so sensitive as mine, at the time, you really saw and heard everything. And so that night we were at the fight, and Mike Tyson fight, and the MC was announcing celebrities in the audience, and they announced, Tiger Woods and Charles Barkley and Dr. Dre, and the whole, arena erupted in applause, and they called out my name, and the whole MGM Grand just booed and hissed. And it's not like that hadn't happened before, right? You play football, you go to an opposing team stadium, you get booed, but you have this helmet on, you have these shoulder pads, you have this armor, and it almost emboldens you. My mind was so fragile at the time that not only did I hear that you're just awful football player, Ryan, but you're a terrible human being. That's what my addict mind interpreted. So sure enough, that evening, an acquaintance of mine offered me some Vicodin, and I, of course, used that drug before because of the multiple surgeries I had playing football, but this would be the first night I actually took it for my emotional pain, and it worked. I would walk in and out of parties that night where there were Hall of Famers and Super Bowl champs, where I always felt judged and less than, and And I mixed it with the alcohol I was drinking, and I walked into those parties, and I didn't feel any of that. I didn't feel anything. And that's the night that I really started abusing it, and I chased that feeling of not feeling anything again for probably the next 8 years of my life.
So we're talking to Ryan Leaf, our mystery guest today on OMF. And Ryan, that story about Holmgren is interesting to me because depression now, for lack of a better term, it's acceptable. It's understood. And I think more people and coaches especially are more willing to kind of, understand it and help players. So do you think if things were different back when you played in the late 90s and the early 2000s, and if you came to a coach or a trainer with this sort of, issue, or that they would be better equipped to help you, and therefore you having a better chance of staying in the NFL and have a productive career?
I would hope so. This is all about destigmatizing mental health disease. It really is. And what we saw from Dak Prescott before the season started, I think, is where we're headed. But then you have somebody like Skip Bayless that absolutely kind of, crapped all over it, too. So there's still that mindset. It has to be changed. And the more that people like Dak, the more like people like The Rock or Kevin Love or DeRon DeRozan, Michael Phelps, those guys who have huge platforms and are able to stand up in front of everybody and say, hey, I'm not okay. I mean, just because I'm really good at football doesn't mean I'm not a human being that's really flawed and trying to be better every day like you are. And I want to be able to be honest and transparent about that and not be looked upon like I'm different or weird or less than or weak. And I think that is changing. And it's important that we keep shining the light on it, and so that coaches will do that. I thought Aaron Rodgers' response to Dak doing what he did was right on point. And Aaron was always a big supporter of mine when the ESPN documentary came out and us talking about that stuff. He gets it. He knows what's going on. And I think these players are emboldened because they have more of a platform and they know they can make real change in the world, not just by being an athlete.
You talked about the experience in Vegas and the crowd, and you were incarcerated for a while, and that couldn't have been pleasant either, with everybody in there knowing exactly who you were. So was that rock bottom? What was rock bottom for you?
I still think there's a further bottom for me. I mean, death, right? That's the bottom. And, at one point before I was finally arrested for the final time, I attempted to take my life because I thought that was the only answer. So that probably is rock bottom. Prison isn't rock bottom. Prison is not a deterrent. It is another society in our country for everybody. And, you just go there. I had a 13-inch flat screen TV at the end of my bed with 45 channels, the NFL Red Zone during the fall. It's not. It's a warehouse where that makes money for corporations. And in Montana, where I'm from, I went into this prison where, everybody knew me, but they, I was like a hero to them. Not only was I a former NFL football player, but I was like this, you have this, criminal ego that goes with it with these guys. And, like this guy's just like me, he's a drug addict. He's a felon. So I fit in fine there. I just kind of kept to myself and stayed inside and got super fat and unhealthy. And I didn't do anything productive. That's for sure. That's not what prison's for.
Talking to Ryan Leaf, former NFL quarterback. Ryan, especially during this time, right? COVID, pandemic, we talk about all the time, right? Depression and people with addictions. First, how has that time been for you, and any advice for people out there right now kind of battling through that, during this time, right, what we're going through?
It's difficult. It's been difficult, right? I've lost all my jobs, furloughed, contracts not renewed, right? I really enjoyed what I got to do last year with my radio show and working for ESPN and my speaking engagements around the country and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a new normal. I do know that it's given me an opportunity to spend more time with my family. I was away about 4 days a week calling football games and doing things for ESPN. And speaking around the country. So, my two-year-old, I didn't half the year of his second year of his life, third year of his life, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with. And so he doesn't understand what's going on, but he's very happy that both mom and dad are around all the time. I think he's a little tired of us. I think that's why we're doing this trip. So he's going to have grandparents doting on him for the next 10 days or so. So maybe mom and I can take a little breather.
Ryan, we really appreciate you coming on today as our mystery guest, and appreciate you telling your story. And it sounds like you're in a much better place these days. And we wish you the best of luck going forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You guys have a great day, and good luck to those Patriots. I love watching Cam Newton throw it around back there now too for them.
It's a little different than what we've been accustomed to for the last 20 years. Though that was pretty good for 20 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty damn
good.
good.
Different is okay. Different is okay.
Ryan Leaf, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Ryan.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ryan.